Last year, only 1.1% of consulting applicants managed to land the big job. In this video, I'll go through 5 of the most common consulting questions and tell you exactly how you need to answer them so you can also get the job. By the way, these tips can also be applied to any other job, so don't worry if you're not applying to a consulting job. Hey, what's up? I'm Abraham and I'm a Big 4 consultant. On this channel, I make tip videos going through the application process, give insider insights on the latest trends in consulting, and also make how-to videos on the skills you need to become a successful consultant. So if you're new here, consider subscribing and let's get into the video. So first, let me introduce you to your consulting toolkit. Don't worry if you haven't heard of these before, just keep them in the back of your mind and I'll explain them as we go through the questions. Here are the 5 types of questions we'll be looking at today, and I'll be going through exactly what you need to do to structure and phrase each of these questions. Plus, you'll be able to see how I would respond to these questions. Stick around to the end of the video for a nice bonus to help you in your interviews. Number 1, scenario-based questions. These questions are designed to see how you've handled challenging situations in the past. Here are 3 examples you can expect from a scenario-based question. Okay, let's walk through my response to the first question. By the way, there's a toolkit at the top of the page in the header, but I'll be explaining as we go through the questions. So the first question is, can you give an example of a time where you've had to work with a difficult team member and how you handled the situation? The tool we'll be using for this is the STAR method and the power of 3. Now, if you don't know what that is, don't worry. Here's a quick explanation for both of those. STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. In the situation section, you're breaking down what the problem is. In the task section, you're breaking down your role or responsibility. In the action section, you're breaking down what actions you took to solve that problem you identified earlier. Now for the action section, make sure to use the power of 3. In the results section, make sure you talk about what you learned and how your action improved the situation. The power of 3. The power of 3 is giving responses in groups of 3 different categories, 3 different boxes. This technique is really useful in conjunction with the STAR tool or the MECE tool to really help boost and make your answer stand out. The situation was that you were working in a group project in a university course with a group member who was consistently not meeting their deadlines and not communicating effectively with the rest of the group. In a very common situation. The task, what was your role? Your role was to find a way to address the issue and ensure the project remained on track. And what did you do about it? Your actions. You did 3 things. First, I tried to address the issue by having one-on-one conversations with a group member to understand why they were struggling to meet the deadlines. Then you worked with them to complete a plan to resolve this. And then finally, you set up regular check-ins with this group member to ensure they were meeting their goals and ensure that everyone was aware of the progress. Just going through a couple of STAR points, you are already ahead of 99% of people who would be answering this question. You're breaking it down, you're structuring it well, and you're being concise and coherent. The result was that the group member was able to improve their performance and the project was completed on time. Great. Additionally, you learned that regular check-ins helps to improve the overall communication within the group. Just this shows the interviewer that A, you learned something so you're teachable, you'll be able to learn something from them, and B, you improved something, that you strive for excellence. If you've ever wondered what happens when 2 candidates apply and both of them are equally capable and talented, this is the killer question that decides their fate. Number 2, analytical questions. These questions are designed to see how well you handle large sets of data or a complex problem and provide your own insight. These questions test your ability to break down a lot of information into smaller bits, so make sure to use the MECE principle and go through things step by step so the interviewer can understand your thought process. The example we've used for this one is, how would you analyze a large customer sales dataset to inform our business strategy? We'll be using the MECE tool and the power of 3. Here's a quick explanation of the MECE tool. What is MECE? Mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. Mutually exclusive meaning things do not overlap or contradict each other, and collectively exhaustive means that all the possible options have been considered. This is especially useful if you're breaking down a bigger problem into smaller little bits to be able to manage them, as well as being able to give a more structured and efficient response to help you stand out. Let's get into the example answer. You'll break down the process into 3 steps. Number one, you're going to analyze the components of the data set and get a sense of how everything fits together. Number two, you'll identify trends and patterns. And number three, you'll look for potential areas of concerns or opportunities. Now, this is just an example. Make sure to apply these to your particular question and your particular role. Going into the first point, number one, analyzing the data set. You'll do it by looking at different variables and components of the dataset and understanding the different types of data being collected, for example, customer demographics, purchase history, product preferences, etc. And here's the key question. This question helps to answer why is it important. This will give you a sense of what data is available and make finding relevant data easier down the line when you're doing the analysis. Great start. Again, most people will just ramble on and not be coherent in their response, but you're breaking it down into 3 steps and giving subcomponents for each of those steps that you identified earlier. For number 2, you'd look at which products are most popular among different customer segments, which customers are most likely to make a repeat purchase, and which marketing campaigns are most effective at driving sales. Now, when you get these questions, it's important you take a couple of minutes to think through how you're going to answer it. That's usually fine for the interviewer. Just say something like, I'd like a couple of minutes to think through my response to this question. And while you're doing this, you're making these lists. You're breaking the problem down into 3 steps, and for each of the steps, you're figuring out how will you go about achieving this. Now, usually on the spot, your answers are not this perfect, and the more preparation you can do, the better. Coming back to point number 2, what will this achieve? Doing these 3 things will help you to get a sense of which customers value which type of product. Great insight. The third point, which was looking for potential areas of concerns or opportunities, you'll do it by looking at which product and categories are underperforming, which customer segments are not being effectively targeted, which market campaigns are not delivering on a strong return on investment. Again, what will this achieve? You can combine this information with the trends you identified earlier to get a good idea of the current business strategy and the changes that will improve customer sales, bringing it all together at the end and giving a killer response. If you are getting some value out of these answers, then let me know by giving this video a thumbs up. The third type of question you can face is a technical knowledge question. These questions will test the specific knowledge required for the role you've applied for. My top tip for this would be make sure you check out the job description and brush up on any technical skills that it says you'll need. And the example question is, can you give an example of when you've used a work management app in a project and the problem it helped you to solve? Now, this question could be used universally for a lot of different things. So really the question should be, can you give an example of a time where you have used X app or X tool in a project and the problem it helped you to solve? In terms of our tool, we'll be using the star and the power of 3. Great. We're telling a story. We're talking about a situation. The star tool is coming in handy again. So what was the situation? As a university student, I was in a group project for a class and we were having trouble keeping track of our progress and making sure that everyone was on the same page. Task, what was my responsibility? My task was to find a way to streamline the project and ensure that our team was working efficiently. Great. And what did you do about it? Well, I did 3 things. I researched different project management apps and chose the one that had the features we needed, such as task assignment, project tracking, and team communication. I also learned how to use the app and implemented it in the project I was doing. And finally, I was able to train my team on how to use it. So far, this is showing that you're someone who takes initiative, you're someone who's a leader, you're someone who's a team player, and you're someone who's able to coach other people with the things you've learned yourself. Now, these are great tools for any job, really, and you'll be impressing your interviewer. So the result, what did you learn and how did your action improve the situation? The result was that the app helped us to keep a track of our progress and stay organized, which made the project run more smoothly, and it also allowed us to communicate and collaborate more effectively, and you were able to meet the deadlines and deliver a successful project. So what did you learn? Communication and collaboration. And what did you improve? You made the project run more smoothly. Hey, thanks for sticking with me so far. I'd love to know in the comments down below if you've had any crazy interview experiences or nice ones, and if you've come across any of these kind of questions before. Number 4 is values-based questions. Now, if you've ever wondered what happens when two candidates apply for the same job and both of them are equally capable and talented to do that role, this is the killer question that decides their fate. Values-based questions focus less on the actual candidates and the knowledge they have, and more about their motivation and how well they fit into the company culture. My top tip would be you go onto the company website and check out the company ethos or values section to get more information on how well you fit into the company. Also, very common question as a whole: why would you want to work for our company or in this role? The tool we'll be using to answer it is the STAR tool. Again, we're telling a story, we're saying a why, and we're using the power of 3 to really bring out the coherence and make it a powerful answer. The value that you like from the company is, for Mackenzie for instance, it's embracing diverse perspectives with curiosity and respect. In the example answer, you say, well, what attracted you to that value? You're interested in working for the company because of its value, and this is the value that you personally hold. Okay, then you have to explain why. So choose a value that you do personally hold and how it aligns with your story. So every time you have to tell a story, always go back to the STAR method: situation, task, action, and result. For instance, I was doing an internship last summer and I was a part of a team that was working on a new project launch, and one of the team members from a different cultural background suggested a unique approach to marketing a product which was completely different to what we had planned. Your action, what you did about it, using power of 3. You organized a coffee meeting with a team member to understand the idea better. You arranged for time to be allocated in the following meeting to discuss the idea, and you encouraged the team to explore the idea further. Great. Already it shows that you're someone who's willing to adapt, be agile, and change your ways of working dependent on new ideas. The result, what you learned and what improved, you reached audiences and increased the sales by 20%. Great, that's a great achievement. This experience also, this is what you learned, this experience also reinforced your belief that diverse perspectives are not just nice ideas, but also provide a strong business case as well. Right, at the end, bringing it all together and giving a great answer to the question. Number 5, the last one, is the desert island or the brain teaser kind of question. Now, for these questions, there are no right or wrong answers. They are designed to see how well you cope with an unexpected situation under time pressure. For example, if someone asks you,
if you were stranded on a desert island, what 3 things would you take?
And why? The point of these questions is for the interviewer to understand how you think and how you justify the responses you give. So what tool will be used in this situation? It will be the MECE and the power of 3. Why? Because using the MECE tool, I'd prioritize the items I take based on these 3 categories. Number 1, shelter. Number 2, water. Number 3, finding a way to get rescued, basically. Then you dive into each of the different sections. You'd pick a multi-tool or Swiss Army knife for the shelter bit. Why? What will this achieve? It would be essential for survival, as it would allow me to build a shelter, start a fire, and hunt for food. Great reasons. A multi-tool would provide me with a variety of tools to help me survive, such as a knife, a saw, scissors, etc. So already by structuring it, you're ahead of a lot of the other applicants who would go into this question and say all sorts of reasons, and their answers will be all jumbled up, but you'll be giving clear and concise and distinct points which will help you to stand out. For number 2, I'd pick a water filter because it would allow me to purify water and stay hydrated. I would be able to use the water filter to purify water from rivers, lakes, rainwater, etc. and increase your chances of survival. Great. And the final item, to be rescued. For the 3rd item, I'd pick a flare because it would allow me to signal for help and increase my chances of being rescued. And the final sentence, bringing it all together, these items will give me a good chance of surviving in the desert island and being rescued. If that sounds convincing to you, then it will sound convincing to the interviewer. The bonus. Yes, as promised, I've created a free template that you can use. This is the template we've been going through in this video, plus 2 additional questions for each category that we have not gone through. So do check out that in the description below. Also, if you're interested in applying for a consulting job, then check out this video I've made for you, going through the full breakdown of consulting, the different types of consulting firms, and the pros and cons you can expect from a consulting job.